other things that are just silly. So Scarlett Johansson, the actress, she has now come out and she says that monogamy is not a natural thing. She did an interview with Playboy in which she talked about how monogamy is not natural. She said, with every gain, there's a loss, right? So that's a loss. You have to choose a path. I think the idea of marriage is very romantic. It's a beautiful idea. The practice of it can be a very beautiful thing. I don't think it's natural to be a monogamous person. I might be skewered for that, but I think it's work. It's a lot of work. Okay, that's true. So, yeah, yeah. I mean, okay. I don't know why this is some sort of revelation. Monogamous is not a natural thing. Monogamy is not a natural thing. First of all, it is more natural for men to be polygamous than for women to be polygamous. I mean, just biologically speaking, and that is because evolutionarily, it is, as they say in The King and I, man must be like honeybee, gathering all he can, right? I mean, evolutionarily speaking, the drive of men is to have sex with as many women as possible and therefore to propagate the species. The drive of women is to pick the best man possible in order to propagate the species, because if you have sex with some doofus, then your kids are also going to be doofy. That's just the way that it works in most of the animal kingdom. It also works that way in primates, and it works that way for human beings as well. But this idea that monogamy is not natural, and therefore what? Therefore what? Therefore marriage is not natural? Okay, so it's not natural. Guess what? Lots of things that are natural, as we just saw, are not necessarily things that are phenomenal and we should brag about. Like, natural is natural, but natural does not mean good. Natural is just what it is. And so this idea that monogamy is not natural, therefore monogamy is something bad, lots of things are not natural. Civilization's not natural. Clothing's not natural. The cameras are not natural. Houses are not natural. If we got rid of all of those things, if we got rid of agriculture, which is also not natural, if we got rid of all those things, then we could go back to living in forests and sleeping with everybody and dying at 23. I think that doesn't seem pleasant. So I think what we should stick with the institutions of civilization is sort of the final case that I am making here. Okay.
I do have to tell you about this insane piece from Everyday Feminism, just because it is hilarious. Okay, so this piece from Everyday Feminism discusses what intersectional feminists are looking for in a date. It is not a wonder that they are miserable people, intersectional feminists, because these are questions. They're 10 questions you are supposed to ask your date if you're an intersectional feminist. The following list of questions writes, who wrote this? Lara Witt. I'm not going to assume his, her, gender. I'm not going to assume gender because we're not allowed to do that at Everyday Feminism, the greatest site on the internet. But here is what Lara writes. The following list of questions is applicable to all relationships, certainly not just cisgender heterosexual ones. 1. Do you believe that Black Lives Matter? Well, there's a hell of an opener. You sit down for a date, and before you even start talking, the woman says to you, do you believe that Black Lives Matter? Like, how are you supposed to answer that? What happens if you say no? I mean, like, what? First of all, like, does anyone in the United States say no to that question? Of course everyone believes Black Lives Matter. The question is whether you think the movement is actually worthwhile or whether it is a vast misinterpretation of variable data on police activity. But never mind all that. It's just, then, what are your thoughts on gender and sexual orientation? I love this. The gender binary is a tiny box. I wish it didn't exist, but it does. I wouldn't want to be with anyone who's queer phobic. Is that that's like your opener? That's another one of your opening questions? Is like you're a straight woman and you're dating a straight guy and your first question is, would you have sex with a dude? Or are you queer phobic? Like, do you believe that I'm a woman? Okay. How do you work to dismantle sexism and misogyny in your life? What are you talking about to me? I'm just a plumber. Like, what? It says, I've met cisgender, heteronormative, cishet men who hate women. They say they love women, but that love is conditional on not having their toxic masculinity questions or threatened in any way. And they love us as a monolith. They love what women have to offer, whether it's sex, food, love, care, emotional labor. They love us for what we can do for them, not because of who we are for ourselves. Well, I feel like this is sort of a weird arbitrary boundary that you're drawing here. It seems to me that what you are is very much related to what you do. So that's sort of a weird take on things. What are your thoughts on sex work? Like that, this is one of my favorites. What are your thoughts on sex work? Really, the intersectional feminists want you to ask your date what your thoughts are on prostitution. Hint to the ladies. If you say to a man, what are your thoughts on prostitution? The guy's like, love it, all for it. You shouldn't date him. It's going to go badly. But apparently this is a question to ask when you're dating because being pro-sex worker is a necessary pillar for dismantling the patriarchy. There's nothing that dismantles the patriarchy like making it more available for scummy men to have sex for money. Nothing dismantles the patriarchy just like that, which is why when you watch old Westerns, everyone goes to the whorehouse because they're all trying to dismantle the patriarchy. It's a thing. Are you a supporter of the BDS movement? Perfectly. I love this. I love this. It's just great that on your first date, you should ask whether you hate Jews and want to divest from Israel. What is your understanding of settler colonialism and indigenous rights? Wow. Do you think capitalism is exploitative? First of all, I would say yes to that question just so that I could avoid actually having to pay for dinner. I would say capitalism is exploitative, so let's break the check. Can any human be illegal? Do you support Muslim Americans and non-Muslim people from Islamic countries? And does your allyship include disabled folks? If a woman asks you any of these questions, run as fast as you possibly can because that's horrifying. That'll be the worst marriage ever. But I guess marriage is shed anyway, so.
So the first thing that I hate today is this insane piece by some crazy person named Jodi Allard. She's apparently a feminist blogger. First of all feminist bloggers are, I don't mean to generalize, but they're all crazy. So she actually has a piece today called, the title of it is, "I'm done pretending men are safe, even my sons." Really. And the entire thing is about how her sons are potential rapists. She says, "I have 2 sons. They're strong and compassionate. The kind of boys other parents are glad to meet when their daughters bring them home for dinner. They are good boys in the ways good boys are, but they are not safe boys. I'm starting to believe there's no such thing." She is talking about her own children being potential rapists because of rape culture. She said, "I wrote an essay in the Washington Post last year during the height of the Brock Turner case about my sons in rape culture. I didn't think it would be controversial when I wrote it. I was sure most parents grappled with raising sons in the midst of rape culture." Well, no, actually. It turns out that the vast majority of us who grow up as boys in households that have good parents, we're not part of a rape culture because we are taught at a very early age that you're not supposed to rape people, right? That rape is a bad thing. I thought this was a pretty clear rule of Western civilization for the past 1,000 years or so. Because I didn't think it would be controversial when I wrote it. The struggle I wrote about was universal, I thought, but I was wrong. My essay went semi-viral, and for the first time, my sons encountered my words about them on their friends' phones, their teachers' computers, and even overheard them discussed by strangers on a crowded metro bus. Right, because when you say your sons are potential rapists, that might have some bad ramifications. They're your kids, you stupid idiot. And then she says, "It was one thing to agree to be written about in relative obscurity, and quite another to have my words intrude on their daily lives." By the way, this is the same lady who wrote a column about how one of her sons was apparently suicidal, with a mother like this. And she says, one of my sons is suicidal, so we sat down and watched 13 Reasons Why. Are you the stupidest person on planet Earth? Okay, have you ever seen 13 Reasons Why? Like half the show is dedicated to why suicide is a choice that is driven by outside forces. It's not really in your hands. Anyways, she says, "One of my sons was hurt by my words, although he's never told me so. He doesn't understand why I lumped him and his brother together in my essay. He sees himself as the good one, the one who is sensitive and thoughtful and who listens instead of reacts. He doesn't understand that even quiet misogyny is misogyny, and not all sexists sound like Twitter trolls. So he seems like a nice kid, but she's calling him a sexist and a rapist. He's angry at me now, although he won't admit that either, and his anger led him to conservative websites and YouTube channels." Okay, if the son of Jodi Allard is watching this right now, please write me an email. I would be happy to have you intern with us here over at the Daily Wire. I think that you deserve better than what your mother has provided to you, a label as a potential rapist. I don't think you're a rapist. I don't think you're a potential rapist. You seem like a nice person. Your mother, however, seems like she is a harridan. She says, "I teeter frequently between supporting my son and educating him. Is it my job as his mother to ensure he feels safe emotionally, no matter what violence he spews?" Can she give an example of like the violence that her son is spewing? Is he coming home and going, "Rape, rape, 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 rape"? Like what exactly is he doing? Is he coming home and he's just saying, "I saw a girl on the bus today. You know what I thought? I thought rape." I'm pretty sure that's not what happened, but when you're a crazy person, then this is what happened. And then she starts talking about her dating life. Okay, why do feminists always feel the need to talk about their dating life like anybody cares? She says, "I joined Bumble recently after a 6+ year break from dating. I'm not overly interested in dating in the first place, but I'm starved for adult conversation, so dating feels like a necessary evil." Well, no, there's some of us who have friends. I mean, you could do that. It's just Bumble, as I explained to my married friends, is like feminist Tinder. Women have to initiate contact with men, so there's no inbox full of bleep pics every day. But feminists or not, the men are no different from the men anywhere else, and I quickly felt deflated. All men are... Okay, I have a general recommendation. If you believe that all men or all women are crazy, that everybody's terrible, maybe it's just you. Maybe it's just you. If every relationship you've ever had has gone bad, maybe it's not because all the people you know are terrible. Maybe you suck as a human. Okay, and I'm going to go with that on this one. It's just... My sons won't rape unconscious women behind a dumpster, and neither will most of the progressive men I know. But what all of these men share in common, even my sons, is a relentless questioning and disbelief of the female experience. I didn't realize the common female experience was to be raped while unconscious behind a dumpster. I know a few females, and I don't know any of them who've been raped while unconscious behind a dumpster, at least none who have told me about it. And if they did tell me about that, I would say, can we find the person and hunt them down? Like, that would be my first reaction. Can we tell the police? And if not, is there a way that we can kill this person and get away with it? Like, that seems like the best possible. Like, is that not feminist enough? Do I have to do more than that? So I do not want to prove my pain or provide enough evidence to convince anyone that my trauma is merited. Okay, if you accuse someone of rape, you might have to provide evidence of actual rape. Like, you shouldn't just be able to accuse anyone of any crime. Totally insane. Totally insane. Child Protective Services needs to show up, like, right now at this lady's door. Thank God it sounds like her sons are getting old enough that they get to leave home. Leave now. Leave now, okay? I will try to find a way to put you up in your own apartment. Seriously. Okay? You deserve to get out of there right now, Jody.